Your toddler is an angel for the babysitter, calm for grandma. Practically a different child at daycare. The teachers keep telling you how easy they are. Then you walk through the door, and within minutes, it all falls apart. Screaming over the wrong cup, clinging to your leg like the floor is on fire. A full meltdown because you cut the sandwich into triangles instead of squares. And somewhere underneath the exhaustion, a horrible question starts forming in your head. What am I doing wrong that nobody else is doing? Nothing. That's the answer, and it's the opposite of what it feels like. You are not the reason your toddler falls apart. You are the reason they finally feel safe enough to. Let's slow down, because this idea deserves to actually land. In the 1950s, a psychiatrist named John Bowlby introduced a concept that changed how we understand childhood forever. He called it the secure base. Every young child, Bowlby argued, has a biological need for one attachment figure they trust completely. Not a favorite, not the most fun. The one person their nervous system has decided is unconditionally safe. And here's the part almost nobody explains clearly. When that person is present, a toddler's body does something remarkable. And it essentially says, I can finally stop holding this together. Think about everything your toddler is holding together all day without you. New faces at daycare, grandma's rules. A nanny who is kind, but is still, to a toddler's nervous system, not you. In every one of those places, some small part of your toddler is working, adjusting, managing themselves, because none of those environments feel like the deepest possible safety. And then you walk in the door. And the part of them that has been working all day finally clocks out. There's a name for this pattern, and it's more common than most parents realize. Psychotherapists studying childhood behavior call it restraint collapse. It was first described in older kids coming home from school, falling apart the moment they walked through the front door after holding it together in class all day. But researchers have since found the exact same pattern in toddlers coming home from nursery, from daycare, from a few hours with a babysitter. The setting changes. The biology doesn't. Picture the actual math of your toddler's day. All morning at daycare, they follow new rules, share toys they don't want to share, adjust to a room full of unfamiliar noise, and manage all of it without the one person who makes them feel completely safe. That takes effort. Real, tiring, invisible effort, even for a 2-year-old. By the time you arrive to pick them up, they have been quietly working for hours. And the moment they see your face, that work is finally allowed to stop. What looks like your toddler falling apart in the parking lot is actually your toddler finally being able to put something down that they've been carrying since breakfast. Here's what's actually happening in their body while this occurs. Toddlers regulate a stress hormone called cortisol constantly throughout the day. And in unfamiliar or less secure settings, they do it by suppressing their big emotions, because on some level, they sense they have to. The moment their most trusted person walks in, that suppression is no longer necessary, and all of that built-up stress has to go somewhere. It comes out as crying, as clinginess, as a tantrum over something that on paper makes absolutely no sense. You're not watching a toddler behaving badly, you're watching a nervous system finally exhaling. Quick pause, because what I'm about to explain next is the part that changes how you'll see every single daycare pickup for the rest of your life. If this is landing for you already, hit subscribe now, because this next piece is the one parents usually message us about afterward. Here it is. Why does your toddler behave so well for the nanny, for the grandparent, for the daycare teacher? Every parent assumes it means the toddler likes that person more or is simply easier with them. It's almost the exact opposite. Your toddler isn't behaving well because they feel more comfortable. They're behaving well because they don't feel safe enough yet to fall apart. Good behavior around someone less familiar is not comfort. It's a stress response. It's a toddler working hard, quietly, invisibly, to hold themselves together in front of someone they haven't fully decided they can trust with the messy version of themselves. The meltdown they save for you isn't the malfunction. It's the release valve. And you are the only person they trust enough to open it around. Read that again, because it rewires the whole story. The babysitter isn't getting the better version of your toddler. They're getting the version that's still working. You're getting the version that finally gets to stop. Now let's talk about why toddlers specifically, more than almost any other age, cannot help this. A toddler's brain has a region called the prefrontal cortex, and its job, among other things, is managing big emotions, pausing before reacting, holding a feeling without acting on it immediately. In a toddler, that part of the brain is nowhere near finished developing. It won't be fully built for years. Think of it like a muscle that hasn't grown strong enough to hold a heavy weight for long. Your toddler can flex it for a while at daycare, at grandma's, in the car with a babysitter, but eventually that muscle gives out, and it always gives out in the safest place available. That means your toddler is not choosing to fall apart around you. They are physically, neurologically unable to keep holding it in once they reach the one place their body finally allows the walls to come down. They didn't decide to release it on you. Their brain simply isn't capable of holding it any longer once the danger signal turns off, and around you, it turns off completely. So here's what I want you to actually walk away with today. If your toddler saves their hardest moments, their loudest cries, their most irrational meltdowns for you, and only you, that is not a sign that something is wrong in your relationship. It is proof of exactly the opposite. Out of every person in your toddler's world, their body chose you as the one safe enough to fall apart in front of. That is not a burden. That is the deepest compliment a small nervous system can give another human being, and it is being given to you constantly, whether it feels like a compliment in the moment or not. Here's something else worth sitting with. The meltdown that happens the moment you walk in the door isn't rejection of you. It's relief because of you. Every hard bedtime, every tantrum in the car, every collapse the moment you pick them up from daycare is your toddler's nervous system finally getting to put the weight down. You are not causing the storm. You are the only shelter they trust enough to fall apart inside of. And if you've spent months quietly wondering what you're doing wrong, wondering why your toddler seems to save their worst for you while everyone else gets the easy version, I need you to feel something different by the end of this video. Not guilt. Relief, because none of this was ever your fault. Pride, because being the person your toddler falls apart in front of means you are the person they trust the most in the entire world. Think about every other parent standing at daycare pickup, watching their own toddler go from calm to chaos in the 10 steps between the classroom door and the car. Almost every one of them is quietly wondering the exact same thing you have been wondering, and almost none of them know what you now know. And if you know another parent quietly carrying that same guilt right now, thinking they're failing because their toddler only melts down for them, send them this video today, because this is the one thing that will change how they see their child by tonight. Because here's the truth underneath everything we've covered. Your toddler isn't worse when you're around. Your toddler is simply, finally, safe enough to be real. If this changed how you see your toddler's hardest moments, subscribe now, because every single week we break down what's actually happening inside your toddler's mind, backed by real research, explained in a way that finally makes sense. And if this helped even a little, share it with the parent in your life who needs to hear it just as much as you did.